Welcome to Season 4 of She Lancer, Mom Entrepreneur with VoiceOver Angela. I'm your host, Angela. I'm a full-time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator, and this podcast are the audio versions of my live Q&A chats on YouTube. If you'd like to be part of the live Q&A chats, come on over to my YouTube channel, VoiceOver Angela. I'm live every Tuesday at 12 p.m. EST. We talk about voiceover, the business of voiceover, audiobooks, and so much more. Find more information on my website, voiceoverangela.com. Enjoy today's episode. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are. Thank you for joining me again for another live Q&A session here on my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Angela. I am a full-time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator, and my channel is dedicated to those of you just getting started out in this wonderful world of voiceover and audiobook narration. And through my channel, I share with you tips, tricks, techniques, things that I do every day in my own voiceover business, and then we get together weekly in these weekly chats, community chats, to talk about a topic or two, sometimes 5. But we'll see how it goes. So if you're not new here, then you know that every week we have a new poll, and I did change it this time. So it is right. And this week the poll is, in your opinion, which should come first? The gear or the training? And this week's poll was actually inspired by a video I saw on YouTube a couple days ago, a few days ago. I think it was Gabby's video, but she was talking about how she hears, and if you don't follow her on YouTube, go follow her on YouTube. It's The Gift of Gab is her channel. Fabulous. But she was talking about how she hears people getting the gear and getting, investing in all of the equipment and things before getting the training, the coaching to make sure that they can actually do this, right? Get into voiceover and audiobook narration before investing in all of the gear. And I thought to myself, that's a good point. But, I'm not disagreeing. Everybody's opinions are valid in their own perspectives. But I see it as being relatively newer to this industry myself. I've been doing this for about 6.5 years now. So relatively short compared to some. And I started this industry with my own home studio. I didn't start in this industry going to locations to record lines and then going home and then having the audio engineer do their thing, and then maybe I come back the next day, do some pickups, finish the job, what have you. And I may be wrong, but this is just the way that I see it. But I started in this industry with my own home studio. And having to do everything that I do, all of my jobs, everything that I record is done here in my studio, my home studio. So I couldn't necessarily get started without the gear. This is just the way that I see it. And if you've been watching me for any length of time, then you know that I just say fire and then you're ready, then fire, and then aim, right, as to where you want to go. So I wouldn't have been able to work on my performance or even my audio quality or understanding how any of this stuff works together in harmony, meaning the software effects, gear, the microphone, the interface, all that stuff, without getting it and getting into it and figuring it out. So I think this just further highlights the point that you should listen to everyone. Everyone has, meaning everyone online that has information to share about voiceover and audiobook narration, and what you should or shouldn't do, the paths you should take, the paths you shouldn't take, because she did have some really great points about the training and, focusing on your performance and things, and maybe to perhaps not invest in all of the hardware before you even realize if this is in fact something you want to or can do. But I think in my situation, I wouldn't have been able to experience any of that or to realize any of that without having the gear, without having everything already in place. So I wanted to get your feedback. And I know there's a lot of newer people that visit my channel and consume my content. And thank you for those of you that are new, and welcome again. But I wanted to get the perspectives of everyone who is a little bit seasoned or maybe has been in this for a little bit. What is your take on this? Should you get the training and the coaching first, which I highly recommend at any point in this journey? Get the coaching, get the training. It's going to do nothing but help you move forward and grow. But in your opinion, if you had to do this over again, would you get the gear first? Or would you get the training first? Which would you do? So it looks like 61% of you said get all the gear and set up the space. And then it's moving. 59% of you said that. Now 17% of you said get the training and the coaching first. And then 24% of you said, I don't know. That's why I'm here. So I'm hoping that for those of you that don't know, and that's why you're here, that 24% of you, I hope something said today will help inspire you to pick a direction and move forward. And that's why we do this, right? And that's why we get together and do this, hoping that those of you just getting started can get some sort of direction as to where to go and what to do. And I am seeing your comments, Caesar. Don't make me give you the mom look, because I'll do it. All right. Let's take that off. We got a lot of comments. Let's get to the comments. Let's see who's first in today. Caesar, of course. It's Caesar. Nearly 2 years in the business, and this is an even tougher question to answer. The key to success in VO is making a whole bunch of mistakes first, then learning from them as you develop. Learning from them. Don't get mush-mouthed, Angela. Learning from them as you develop. And that's pretty much kind of the same sort of view I have on it. You just have to jump in. You have to jump in and sort of learn as you go. Jump into the deep end and learn to swim as you go. Because you're not going to know what is not going to work for you and your situation without getting out there and doing it, without getting hands-on, without jumping in. You're not going to know. I don't know if you guys can hear my stomach growling. I'm sorry. You're not going to know what's going to be good for you unless you jump in and do it, or what's going to work for you without trying, without doing, right? Learning from those missteps. Buy gear without knowing anything. You'll make mistakes. Take lessons without knowing whether it's right or wrong for you. You'll make mistakes. Take those mistakes, learn, create your own process. I have to agree with that, Caesar. That's kind of the same way that I went. Most important thing, take the plunge. Don't worry about whether your work is excellent or mediocre. Thrust headlong into your VO journey and hack away at the undergrowth till you reach the golden city. I love that. Gold star. Because no matter the approach, there's bad gear and there's good gear. Bad advice and good advice. Bad processing and good processing. And you won't know what's bad or good until you run your voice through it. Beautiful, Caesar. That said, hello, Angela. Hello, everyone. Just survived a tropical storm with winds reaching up to 38.5 miles per hour. Power's back on, but no water yet. We're bathing in kitty litter. Oh, God. Fun times. I'm so sorry. I'm just kidding. We're not bathing at all. Oh, Caesar. I hope you're bathing Just not in the kitty litter. If it is kitty litter, I'm hoping it's clean kitty litter. Lisa is here. Hey, Lisa. Hey, Angela from Alberta, Canada. I've been a lurker for a few months as I watched your weekly live chats incognito mode at my job as a golf course manager for the summer. Why incognito? Don't be incognito. Be proud of what your interests are. And thank you for joining. And thank you for commenting. And thank you for lurking. Lurking is okay. Now that my season is over and I'm unemployed, my journey into VO is going into full time. Have my equipment and turning a closet into VO studio. Thanks to you and this community for all you do. Aww. Well, on behalf of everyone in this live, thank you for watching and for your very sweet comment. We're glad that you're here. We're glad that we can at least entertain, if not educate and inspire. Those are my goals, to at least educate and inspire and maybe entertain. My stomach is growling. Dwight is here. Hello, Angela, and the rest of you lovely lurkers. The correct answer, in my honest opinion, is both. Spend a little money to get some good inexpensive gear and DAW software, and then train via YouTube and lurking. Yeah, I started with a, oh my God, what was it called? A Blue Yeti. You know, like the big Blue Yeti microphone that sits on your desktop. I started with one of those in my living room on a glass table. So the echo was atrocious, but you know what? I didn't know anything about anything. I just dove in. My laptop, my Blue Yeti microphone in the living room with no soundproofing. And I learned as I went along. I learned what not to do, what I should do, what I should be doing and not doing, what interfaces and microphones and how they all work together, what would be good, where I should be recording, not in the living room on a glass top table. So, I mean, come on. Don't ever make yourself feel bad about where and how you start, because we don't know anything in the beginning. We learn as we go, and you can't learn by making those mistakes without making those mistakes. So get out there, get something inexpensive to start. Make sure that this is something that you want to do, because it is more work than, you know, those social media posts tell you. There is more to invest in terms of money and time, but in the beginning, just give it a try. Get some inexpensive gear and get out there and make those mistakes, because that is the best way to learn. And then you'll grow and you'll level up and you'll get better and you'll get better equipment as you go. I think that's the best way to go. Sue me. Oh, we got a super chat. Hold on. I'm going to remember where I left off. Good Lord. Dylan. Hey, Dylan. Thank you for the super chat, Dylan. I appreciate you. I can't get the image of Caesar bathing in kitty litter like a chinchilla out of my head. Oh, that is a great visual. Like a chinchilla, like a dust bath. Now you're all blessed with the same image. Here's $5. Thank you, Dylan. Thank you for that image. It actually made my day. That was pretty funny. Oh, boy. Okay. Back to Dwight. A closet and or PVC blanket is for the bomb. And enviable by any VO artist's starting standards. Is the bomb? I think I don't know anyone's. Again, everyone that I've worked with or talked to or have been in, you know, circles with over the course of the last 6.5 years, nobody's first recording space was pretty, right? It takes work. It takes time. It's going to go through several iterations, right? You're going to keep improving, changing as we learn, as we fail, as we fall on our face and get back up, dust ourselves off and try something different, right? It's all in the learning. But nobody's first or initial recording space is probably going to be the best or the coolest, or sound the best. Lisa says, many years ago, I was a singer-songwriter recording artist, so I feel like I have some mic experience and know a bit about production from working in radio for a while also. Well, good. You already have more of a background than most of us did. Most of my background was, I was in the automotive industry for 20 years, and then before that it was construction. I was in construction for a little over 5 years. And then before that, it was like fast food and just odd jobs, right? I didn't have any experience in radio or mic experience, audio experience at all. I had to learn. I had to fail a lot and learn from that experience. So you already have a little bit of a background. You have a little bit more experience than most of us do, I think, starting in this industry. So good for you. You already have a leg up on us. Dwight says to Lisa from Canada, welcome. Congrats on starting your new VO adventure. Our community is very kind and friendly. Yes, we are. Remember, no stinking thinking here. Have fun. Lisa says, thanks. Pretty thrilled to be here. Good. I'm glad you are. Dwight says, no, Caesar. Lisa, we're excited to have you. Caesar says, I didn't even say anything. We all know you well enough, Caesar, to know that you're probably thinking something. You've probably got something cooking. Dylan says, we all know you were thinking something inappropriate, Caesar. Dylan says, I've said it before, but I feel you have to have at least the minimum equipment to start. It's hard to get proper coaching while speaking into a banana. Not only that, but because most of us start in a home studio, we have to have the gear in order to not only learn how it all works and what is best for our situation and our voice, but since we're producing and, the post-production part, especially with audiobooks, when we have certain standards to adhere to in terms of RMS and noise floor, we have to have a good understanding of how our DAW works, how all the effects work, and you can't do that without having it, right? I can completely 100% agree. I can see getting coaching and training first. But eventually, you do need to figure out if you can do the post part, the post-production, the editing, the formatting, the mastering. All of that is equally as important, especially when you're getting into audiobooks. Unless you're paying somebody else to do it, right? You're just recording it. But even then, you still need the gear, right? But I think learning the post-production is just as important. Especially when the majority of us anymore have home studios. So it is kind of like a chicken and the egg kind of a thing. But I think ultimately you should have the gear. You should have the gear and then grow and get the coaching, get the training, because your coach or mentor or whomever will also help you with getting your sound down, getting the mic placement right, making sure that your room doesn't have any, reverberation or echo, or it doesn't sound boxy, or that you're applying too many effects. Because, you could actually, get a twofer. You can have somebody help you get the performance coaching and the training, and then also at the same time making sure that your sound sounds decent, or to help you work on improving your sound or your recording space. So I think both simultaneously. I feel like I'm veering off on tangents left and right. But yeah, you can't do voiceover into a banana. You can't record audiobooks with a banana. Nope. Coach Ariel says, good to be here from sunny, cold California. It's funny. Sunny, cold is a relative term also, because cold for us Arizonians here in the desert, anything below 75 is sweater weather. It's 64 degrees and I have a sweater on. Thin. It's a thin sweater, but nevertheless still a sweater. Isn't that funny? And some of you are in like, at some point we'll be in like the negative degrees, and we're complaining about it's the 60s. Caesar says, well, now I'm thinking of something inappropriate. Of course you are. Christine's waving. Hey, Christine. Dwight says exactly what Dylan said about Caesar and the gear stuff too. Hi, Dylan. Dylan says, hi, Dwight. Jim is here. Hey, Jim. This needs more answers. I researched it, listened to podcasts to gauge the market for it and level of difficulty. Survey is too limited. The survey is limited to only four responses. And yeah, perhaps, but I'm hoping that if you have more to add to the conversation, that you would do it in the comments, because I'm only limited to so many responses in the survey or the poll, if that's what you're referring to. I apologize, Jim. Bob says, good, beautiful morning, all. Good morning to you, Bob. Thank you for being here. Jim says, good morning from Memphis. Pamela is here. Howdy, lurking today. Good week, all. Good to see Pam. Joel. Hey, Joel. How you doing? Good morning. Caesar says, yo, that lip chick. The lip chick. The lipstick slaps. I even capping. I don't know. What did you just say? You sound like the kids at in my kids' high school. You sound like a teenager. What just happened? Jim says, just now got notice from ACX that my first chapter was approved. Good. This being a 5-page ebook, it should finish this week. Oh, yeah. Have it done in a day. Easy. Donnie says, good morning, everyone. Man, this is a good on. It really made me think. Chicken or the egg kind of a thing. It is. It is. And it's a question that I think a lot of people just getting started out ask. And again, I was really thinking about Gabby's video, and I was like, you know what? I can see her point. But for those of us that start at home in a home studio, it would behoove you to have both at the same time. But then again, everybody's situation and perspective is different. And again, take it all in and make your own decisions about what you want to do. Alex Jensen, welcome. Thank you for being here. Good morning. I lump in education with the training and coaching. No fun to think you have to go into debt to buy the equipment and space, only to find out you could have started with a basic mic and a closet, which is basically how most of us start. Just a basic mic and a closet and a little bit of perhaps joining some Facebook groups, joining a mastermind, joining a workshop, joining something where you have peer feedback and you can work together with other people in a group. Or if you are not the group kind of person and you're more of an introvert and prefer to work with someone one-on-one, perhaps, then do that. And then again, hopefully that person will also help you get your space dialed in, and as well as working on your reads and things. But I think both at the same time is probably the way that I would go if I started all over again. Jim says, my greeting did not clear. Good morning from Memphis. I think it came through. Artemis Prime. I'm new here. Welcome. Coolest username ever. I'm so glad to find your channel. I recently left my job of 15 years. I've been told for years I should use my deep voice. I have overthought it and never pursued it until now. Overthinking, man. I tell you what, not just you, Artemis, but overthinking can really mess you up. Can really stop you from moving forward on something, or holding you back. Overthinking can really hold you back. Let's just say that. The stupendous Chumley. Buy used equipment. Good point. If you decide it's not for you, sell it and recoup your investment for the most part. I mean, there you go. I think I've said that a handful of times too. If you can't afford something new, then get it secondhand. Get it used and give it a try and just, stick your toes in and see if it's the right temperature for you. Good point. Peak Parable says, with having a treated closet space and a Blue Yeti microphone off of Audacity for free, I completed my first 12 books while saving up for gear to upgrade. And that's pretty much what I did. And then just upgraded, until I got to this point. Now I'm fine. I'm happy with the way everything is. I'm not upgrading anything else unless I have to. Jim says, got mic and Phantom Power, had a recorder and DAW in the Adobe package. Yeah, you just start basic. PSV Odyssey said, good morning. Paul from Arkansas. Good morning to you, Paul. Brian's here. Howdy, Brian. Peak Parable says, a treated closet space, meaning moving blankets. Or, even in a pinch, you don't have to get the moving blankets or the acoustic foam, which is most of the time not great anyway. Go to your local thrift store and get some, thick comforters, and just tack those to your wall. If it doesn't work, then you have more blankets for company when they come over. And, you take a little nail spackle and fill the holes that you left. Just be sure to wash the blankets before you hang them up on your wall. That's all I got to say. You should never know. Coach Ariel says space treated first, then gear, then training. Because if you aren't experimenting with what all people are talking about, even means then it's kind of confusing without having care to play with. Yes. And just to piggyback on what you said about the space, I think, out of everything here is one of the more important things. Because coaching is important. Training is important. The gear is important. But your space is probably more important. Especially if you have a home studio. Because if your performance is spot on, you nailed it, and you have high quality gear, you splurged and got yourself an excellent microphone and interface and all the things, but your space has tons of reverb, there's echo, it sounds super boxy, you're way far away from your microphone, perhaps your microphone is completely turned the wrong way. If you're not focusing on your space, then all of the other stuff just sort of goes out the window. It doesn't matter. So your space is equally important. But apart from the space and the gear, do you get the training first or do you get the space and the gear first? But I think a little bit of both. I think doing both at the same time is the better way to go, I think. Florida D says, morning, y'all. Morning to you, Florida D. Glowen says, good afternoon. How are we all doing today? Need some tangulants today. Don't ask for them. You're going to get them. You're going to get them. Gary Micheloni says, especially on audiobooks where tech specs can be very difficult. I wouldn't try it without training and gear. You could, however, get started doing videos or audios and host on YouTube, in my honest opinion. Yep, there's a lot of different ways to start this, for sure, as far in terms of finding work. But ultimately, it's up to you how you want to start this, right? Again, there isn't really the ultimate right or the ultimate wrong way to do it. As long as you're moving forward, you are learning from your mistakes, there's progress and growth involved in your journey, eventually you're going to get to where you want to get to. As long as you're learning and growing and getting the training and improving on your space and getting the gear, the microphone, the interface, the DAW that work best for you in the process of that learning, then that is what ultimately matters, I think. Florida D says, it doesn't mean you get your final gear, but how I would have learned critical parts without having gear to practice and learn. Absolutely. Start with just something secondhand and learn as you go and improve and You might discover, you've learned a whole lot more by doing and trying than by putting it off until later. Because what if you get the training first and then you have all of this great insight, you have the performance down, but then now you're held back from actually moving forward with your home studio because now you're in I need to figure out what space I'm going to use, how do I treat it, what kind of gear do I need, and then you're going through all of that process because all of that process could take some time too. Getting the space dialed in, finding the right microphone, learning how all of that works. So I think both simultaneously is probably the better way to go. See. Brian says, it's a little like what should you do, sleep or eat or breathe? How about all of the above? You need the teaching to figure out what you need in the space, but you can't do nothing without the space. Peak Parable says, as I got more training and I learned more about my voice and space that allowed to know what gear would be good, personalized, for your specific space. Exactly. Ty Condolar, how are you? I haven't seen you in a while. Hi, Angela. I have only self-trained by watching YouTube and reading VO books, and I have had 2 audiobooks so far. I'm sure I could do much better with training, but I like to learn on the job. I do too, and I think it's really, really helped. Learning the hands-on approach, learning as you go, making the mistakes and learning from them. Robert McMurray, don't go out and buy a Neumann high-dollar microphone, but get a good USB mic and make a blanket space and then use your computer and get experience. I have to agree. Because those Neumanns, I mean, unless you have like a killer deal, you found like a killer secondhand deal, perhaps on a TLM 102 or 103 microphone, maybe. Maybe then do that. But and not all USB mics are going to be good, but there are some out there. I don't want to open up a whole other box of worms because I know Caesar's already typing. These are the microphones that you should get for USB. We can talk about that stuff I think Caesar, you and I can probably get together and have like a whole video on gear alone. But yeah, it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be expensive. Just get some stuff and get started and then learn and grow and upgrade as you go. Jim says, I got a mic recommendation from a Voices podcast, was looking at B&H, but found Sweetwater and got a better deal on it. Sweetwater, if you're looking at gear, and sweetwater.com is, I would say 75% of what is in my studio is from Sweetwater. They have the best customer service, and the sales rep will check in with you every once in a while and see how things are going. Yeah, they're amazing. And what was the thing I was just going to say about Sweetwater? Oh, they do have a used gear section as well. They have a used like a used gear marketplace that you can visit and maybe find a deal or two on something used. John Freetag says, I'm back. Outage is over, and after a month, I am in the studio. Yes. Great feeling to be back in the saddle again, huh? Tess says, I speak words good. Tess says, hey, y'all. Glad you made it, Caesar. I was a door diver today. It's a door diver. Lisa says, incognito so my boss couldn't see what I was doing. Ah. I'm there with you. Gotcha. Jim says, Lisa, may I refer you to Lenny B for ideas on setting up your space? Lenny B is great. Tim Tippett is great. And Roy Yokelson. Those are all great audio engineers if you're looking for them. They all have, I don't know their pricings, so don't ask me, but because I'm sure they all change. They all have their own. Anywho, but they will meet with you via Zoom and help to, they'll do like a booth audit. They'll help you to get your space dialed in if you're just looking for an audio engineer to do that. That is what Jim is referring to. Bob Reet says, if you get the gear first, you soon realize you're the only one standing in the way of your success. No more excuses. Thanks for keeping us on track. Absolutely. Lisa says, thanks, Jim. I will check out Lenny B. PSV Odyssey says, I'm doing my first 2 auditions this evening. Good for you. Good for you. And then make sure you do 2 more tomorrow, 2 more the next day. Better yet, make it like 4, 5, 10. Whatever it is, be sure that you're making a goal for auditions and that you're sticking to it. And keep in mind, because I hear this a lot, especially if you're auditioning on ACX, for example, for audiobooks. I hear a lot of people say, well, I checked in on ACX and there was only like 10 books that I wanted to audition for. If you're only checking in on ACX once a day, shame on you. If you're using like every filter under the sun for ACX, shame on you. Use the filters on ACX sparingly because, again, there's a lot of times where perhaps the author is brand new, they're self-publishing, they're getting their audiobook done, and they don't know anything about anything. They're looking to you as the professional to give them perhaps some ideas. Maybe they don't know if they want to go per finished hour. Maybe they don't know if they want to do royalty share. If they want to do per finished hour, they don't know how much to charge. Perhaps they're undecided altogether on which way to go. Perhaps they're undecided on whether they want male, female, what kind of accent they want. So they select undecided, or maybe they don't select anything. So if you're using your filters sparingly, meaning only use like perhaps gender and accent, especially if you're only proficient at your native accent, then perhaps stick with those 2 filters and leave everything else unchecked. That will give you more results. And there's also, again, people finishing their book and ready to self-publish and ready to go out and get their audiobook all throughout the day, every day on ACX. So you need to be checking in there multiple times a day to look for new opportunities to audition for. So set yourself a goal. Whatever pops into your head in terms of how many auditions on ACX I should submit in a day, double it at least, and then make that your goal for the day or for the week, however you want to do it. If you can't audition every day, then make it a goal for the week. And hit it. Make sure that you hit it. Tangent number 3. I was inspired. Florida D says, or Caesar, he's done great helping me with my audio. We're going to do a home construction project together. Oh, fun. Coach Ariel says, Yeti we bought and never used. Sound drove us mad. Oh, the sibilant? Well, your sibilant? Did it accentuate your sibilances? I hate my sibilants. Robert said, and you started, nothing to be ashamed of because you did start. Yes, that is the one thing that you should definitely celebrate. Every one of you who have at least started, celebrate that. Because getting started, taking that first foot out of that perhaps procrastinating stage is something to celebrate. That first step out of the research learning phase is the hardest. One of the hardest. Maybe the hardest. But you did it. So therefore, celebrate it. Celebrate everything. Celebrate all the wins, because that will help to make this a more, not only a positive experience, but it'll start to chip away at all of the other things that perhaps will hinder our confidence, right? If you celebrate all of your wins, it's like giving yourself a treat for every little positive things, and that will help to build your confidence and to help keep you moving forward. So celebrate all the wins, no matter how small. Caesar says, how'd you get a chinchilla out of your head? That's kind of the direction that I was going to when you said that you were bathing in kitty litter. I immediately got like a mouse or a rat or a chinchilla that takes dust baths. I don't know. Christine says, listen and read to have a gist. Build up your gear to practice on something and vice versa. Jim says, Lenny B has some good videos on YouTube on setting up your space. Very helpful. Yeah, there's a lot of great information for free on YouTube. Take advantage. The Stupendous Chumley says, Lenny B is awesome. The processing chain he developed for me was a worthy investment. Right up there with my mic purchase. Masonry Construction says, if you are brand new, but love the concept of doing VO, begin today. Without any training or equipment. Read a story out loud. Practice showing emotion or horror or happiness. Begin there. Just do it. Just get started. Just do it. Donnie says, I am 2 months from hitting my 1-year mark, and I would say get some good starter gear and leap. Caesar will nibble on your toes, but he doesn't bite. Joel says, I agree. Training is essential in the beginning, but having some equipment to start is important, especially if you plan on having a home studio. For sure. I mean, have both. Learn both at the same time. Through those groups or through that coach or through that mentor, or that way you're ready to go when you have both down, if you're working on both. Tess says, my first booth was a closet full of clothes and an Audio-Technica 2020 USB until I could upgrade to an NT1A condenser. Little steps. Little steps are still forward steps, right? Jim says, I did construction experience for a few years, put up a building on Main Street. Oh, look at you. My construction was, I used to build animal exhibits for zoos and aquariums all over the world. So when you would go to an aquarium and you would see like the artificial habitat that the fish are swimming in, or the artificial vines that the monkeys are swinging on, stuff like that, that's the stuff that I used to make. Such a cool job. I had to travel all over the world. Tess says, click the like button, please. Yes, please. Click that like button. And if you're watching this on Team Replay, please consider subscribing. It helps my algorithms to find the people that are looking for this information. Thank you very much. Jim says that audio first chapter was done without anything but tools available in Audition. Passed Audio Lab with no issues. Good for you, Jim. Brian says, I can tell you my coach helps me keep going despite all my roadblocks. You got to keep going, Brian. You know this. Colette. Hey, Colette. I love Tangulants. How you doing, Colette? Caesar says, you can't record on a banana. I beg to differ. There is a microphone brand called Monkey Banana, and they're pretty good. I think we've brought this one up a couple times, haven't we? I think we've talked about this microphone banana monkey thing a couple times. Donnie says, you may not be able to do rewordings. What does that mean? Is that what I miss? Christine says, sweaters at 64 degrees work well in Ohio, too. Now it's 63. Donnie says, ugh, you may not be able to record with a banana, but you can with the Blue Yeti. I'm not drunk, I promise. It's too early. Paul says 83 in Chicago today. Wow. Caesar says, what did Bear say to the Blue Yeti? Breathe, you idiot. Kristen says, good morning from Williamsburg, VA. Good morning to you, Kristen. Alex says, by the way, hope everyone has some fun this Halloween. That's right. Halloween is this week. It's Thursday. My favorite holiday. Jim says, being here in my early days taught me a lot. Like which side of the mic to talk into. It happens a lot, Jim. Don't fault yourself for that. It happens more than you think. Jim says, got a mic new and watched YouTube videos about it. Bob says, the most expensive part of the gear we already have, the computer. The rest is cheap, relatively cheap, right? Most of us already have a computer on hand for something, right? Either for home office use or work use or, for whatever use. You already have that. I mean, that's a good point. You already have that one. Ty Condolar says, I just bought a Cinco D2 shotgun mic, but I had Tim Tippett set up my audio chain for my old mic, a Mojave MA20201 FET. Should I have him redo my chain? I think that's probably a better question for Tim, specifically. I know the Cinco D2, I'm familiar with that one. It's pretty much just like my 416 here. I'm not familiar with the other one. I'm sure Caesar is. I'm sure he's, again, typing it out or has. Yeah, I can see he's already responded. But I would, anytime that you have an audio engineer set up a chain for you, if anything changes from the original chain, anything in your setup has changed since that first chain was created for you, definitely reach out to that audio engineer and ask them. Because most of these guys that we've talked about will just tell you straight up, I'm sure it's fine, or yes, we need to totally redo it. Rustic Hillbilly is here. Good morning. Good morning to you. I'm sure it's much colder in Oregon than it is here in the desert. Jim says, my room has a Sherpa blanket behind me to absorb bounce sound. I'm sure that Sherpa blanket does a really good job at that, too. Paul says, hi all, I'm late today. Our clocks went back an hour at the weekend. Obviously yours didn't. My time doesn't change. My time doesn't change at all here in the desert. It stays the same no matter what day it is. But if the times did change, then maybe I can adjust my time. Caesar says, between the Cinco and the Mojave, I feel like the Mojave is better. But yes, each mic should have its own audio chain. My cup of tea says, howdy y'all, brought only the best donuts. Peak Parable says, when doing training and coaching, it does not mean you have to spend $10K. YouTube and many free content like Angela's or other content creators is available. Yep. Eric says, good morning. Thought I'd pop in whilst I'm waiting for Best Buy to come replace our stove. Ugh, that sounds like a headache. Brian says, when you talk of training and coaching, I think of watching videos on YouTube, Udemy, as training. Doing that before getting a coach is a good way to go. Brian says, watching Angela's videos. Thank you, Brian. Colette says, I love Sweetwater. I do too. Jim says, Caesar, define door diver. I don't know if we want him to define that, Jim. James says, I've got everything all set up and ready to go. I am just having trouble in getting up the courage to actually speak over the microphone. How can I overcome this phobia? Remember, James, that no one can see you. This is what I suggest. If you're having like a recording, talking into the microphone, sort of like a stoppage, like a blockage, this is what you should do. Hit record on your DAW. Then go into finding something to record. Go find a script or go to ChatGPT or go to Gutenberg.org and find, a public domain book to read from. And then just start practicing it out loud. And then once you read through it a couple times, then narrate it as if you were actually narrating it as sort of like as a final take. And then by that time, it's been recording this whole time. So the phobia of hitting the record button and then freezing up, now I have to be the voice actor. Now I have to be the audiobook narrator. Oh my God. Sort of goes to the wayside because it's been recording this whole time. That was a while ago now. You hit that record button a while ago. You've already got in a couple of practice takes. No pressure. Nobody's waiting on you. There's nobody staring at you. It's just you in your space practicing out loud. So try that. That might help you. And then the more you do that, the more confident you're going to be. Caesar says to Jim, pretty sure she meant DoorDash driver. That makes more sense. Florida D says mics. I've watched all kind of mic shootouts, and to be honest, I can tell little difference between most of them. Audio engineers like Caesar hear the nuances, but I think average listeners don't. I think to your point, Florida D, most casual listeners probably won't. unless you have a good set of headphones to be able to distinguish the difference. But if you're looking for the mic shootouts, go to Booth Junkie on YouTube. Booth Junkie, Mike Delgadio has got some great videos on where he tests different microphones so you can actually hear the difference between them for the most part. Colette says, when you're looking for audition material, should you look for pieces that will suit your voice or any piece? I would say don't worry about suiting your voice. Pick pieces that resonate with you. Pick pieces to audition for that you can connect with, that you enjoy, that you have some sort of a connection to, because that's going to come through. Don't worry about what you pigeonhole your voice as sounding like or what it's suited for. That's all baloney. Do what you want to do. Go audition for stuff that you enjoy. Period. Unless we're talking about like if they're looking for male and you're female, that's a little bit different. But what we consider our voices to be suited for might not be correct, might not be appropriate. Because ultimately it doesn't really matter what we think. It's up to the client to make that decision. So again, bare minimum filters, and that even applies to your perception of what your voice is suited for. Bare minimum filters. Do not hold yourself back or limit yourself in any way, shape, or form. Go look for stuff that you enjoy. Kristen says, James, close the door. Nobody will know what happens in there. Yes. Dylan says, maybe diving under the door, just like in time? Just in time? I don't know. Maybe it was DoorDash. Jim says, my first project came from an offer after I had posted samples in ACX. Dylan says, to Caesar, 2 ways to get a chinchilla out of your head. Easy. Back the way it came. Hard. Pick a face hole and start pulling. Steven Sound says, sorry I'm late to the party. This may have already been mentioned, but my honest opinion, you can get a minimum level of audio quality for not too much of an investment. Experience is a great trainer plus coaching. Proper terminology is smash that like button. I can't say smash it because people might literally do that. So just click it. That is sufficient. Thank you. JCC BCL AOL says, happy Halloween, Angela, and everyone else. Make it a good one. Masonry Construction says, today someone mentioned working on a 5-page ebook on ACX. I was surprised. Used to be an audiobook, had to be a paper book. Guess I'm out of date. Anyone know what's allowed on ACX? Possibilities? I think, no, an audiobook doesn't need to be a paper book. If we're talking about ACX specifically, yes, ACX, I think for the most part, they want your book to be on Amazon for sale first, but there's so many different variations of formats now for that book to be purchased. So it can be either a hard copy, like a print copy, in either paperback or hardcover, or it could be a Kindle version, or it could be, what's the other one? Am I thinking audiobook? Is it just the 3? But it doesn't necessarily have to be a print copy, as far as I know. But it does have to be on sale on ACX in some way, shape, or format for ACX. Amazon. So the book has to be on sale on Amazon in some format to be available on ACX as an audiobook, because it's all Amazon, if that makes sense. Donnie says, my journey started here lurk learning for months. Angela is a goddess. Stop. And she gave me a much needed push. I got some cheap starter gear and have been upgrading as more work comes in. Good. Artemis Prime says, I am picking up a mic today because of your channel and getting started. You are awesome. You are awesome. All of you watching are awesome. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. You're awesome. I look forward to learning and enduring the process. You should be enjoying the process, not enduring it. Melissa Harlow says, I'm an experienced voice talent, but I use that technique about turning on your DAW and just don't touch it. Great idea for a directed session, too. Yes, just turn it on, and then it's like it's done. It's like you're turning the blinders on. Because I think we hit that record button, and then we just freeze. Now what? So just turn it on and then go into finding your copy, setting it up, doing the practice reads, doing all of that, and just let all of that record. And then you can cut all that stuff out later once the recording's done. It'll help you get past it. Donnie says, speaking of Sweetwater, my rep even did a sound booth edit for me for free. Between him and our Reaper lady, I am sounding decent. It's amazing how many people in this industry, in this like globe, this under this umbrella, are so helpful and supportive. I love it. Jim says, don't let yourself sample with something you don't like. You might get asked to do it. True. You mean don't audition for something you don't like? Absolutely. Don't ever audition for something you don't like. Unless you're looking for like a real challenge and you want to do that to yourself. But yeah, don't audition for something that you don't, because that's going to also come through. Especially in the beginning when you can't act with the voice acting part. You haven't learned to just kind of grin through stuff you don't like, because it's naturally going to come through your read if you don't like it, if you don't enjoy it, if you can't connect with it. Yeah. So don't, yeah. Donnie says, okay, I am now going as bare minimum for Halloween. See you all on Thursday. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Tess says, to Dylan, correct. Arriving just in time. Jim says, all Amazon. I thought it went on Audible first. Audible is Amazon. Audible is an arm of Amazon. ACX is where the authors and the narrators come together to make audiobooks for Audible. But Audible is Amazon. It's all under Amazon umbrella. Dylan says Audible is owned by Amazon, as are all of us. Jim says, have to watch your speaking speed when recording. I have had multiple sessions because of words I could not understand in the post session. Yes, because you don't want to read or narrate too fast, because we forget that we can see what's on the page, but the listener is not following along with us. They cannot see the copy we're reading from, so we need to slow down a bit. And also that keeps it more engaging too. It keeps your read more engaging when you can vary the speed and maybe perhaps slow down when something needs to be, like a point is being made, or maybe there's something dramatic happening, right? If you want to draw someone's attention to something, you're going to vary the speed a little bit as you're reading. But we have to remember that the listener cannot see our copy. They're not following along with us. So we have to find a speed that's about 25 to 50% slower than the speed we read with our eyes. And finding that is just going to take a little bit of practice. Florida says, Angela hates me. She skipped my platinum group comment. I didn't see one. Was it removed? I didn't see it. I'm sorry. Hang on. I'm scrolling. Can you repost it? I'm scrolling through all of your comments. I don't see it. Maybe it didn't come through for some reason. I wouldn't intentionally skip a comment unless it was like a spam comment or something inappropriate. I skip those. Luckily, we haven't had many of those, but I would never skip somebody's comment. But if you want, then repost it, please. BC English says, what is your recommendation for me to get training and coaching? I am not confident of my narration and voice quality. I would say First, join groups. Join Facebook groups, VO, audiobook groups. There's a ton of them on Facebook. You can join my Platinum group if you want to. That's $20 a month. We meet 4 times a month, or every Thursday, once a week, I should say, because sometimes there's 5 meetings instead of 4, depending on the month. We do practice scripts. We create character voices. We go through Fiverr and Upwork. We go through ACX. We go through all of these things. But whatever you do, first, start with group, because peer feedback and support, having a community, is so important, not only for your growth, but also for your mental health, right? Having a group of people who understand what you're going through, where you're coming from, where you're going, and your struggles and your successes, all of that stuff will help boost your confidence. And then once you find someone who offers training and coaching, and there's a ton of them here on YouTube, you can find voice actors all over YouTube who also offer like mentorship and coaching. I would say listen to them all and then find one that you can kind of vibe with, right? That you would feel comfortable working with, and then reach out to them and ask them if they're taking on mentees or coaching clients, students, right? And go that route. But first, start with finding yourself a community. I can't stress how important that is going to be for your journey. Community. Number one goal. Lisa says, this session has been so amazing. I hope by next week, I can tell you all about my finished studio. I hope so too, and I'm looking forward to hearing about it. Dylan says, thanks for the live. This energizes me every week and gives me the will to keep on pushing through. Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate you saying that, Dylan. Jim says, don't take a missed comment personally. Nobody gets it right all the time. Sorry if I missed it. I didn't mean to miss it. Masonry Construction says, BC English, go out and offer storytelling to senior communities and even children's groups. Great experience. Sometimes you can even get paid. I did. Caesar says, I ran a search, didn't see a platinum comment, so I reckon either it didn't go through or YouTube blocked it for whatever reason. Maybe there was a link. Oh, that's right. Yeah, if there's links and stuff like that, and YouTube will usually filter those out, or a blocked keyword. Thank you, Caesar. Now I don't feel so bad. I felt bad. Jim says, lunchtime. See you next week. Bye, Jim. Leslie says, Angela's Platinum group is awesome. Great community support. Florida D says, I know. I didn't mean to slow the group. I was telling Artemis if he thinks this is good, he should check out the Platinum group because the available knowledge is incredible. I appreciate you guys. Thank you, Leslie and Florida D. Jim says, Bill DeWeese has a group called The Blueprint. Yes, Bill DeWeese has a group. There's a handful of voiceover artists on YouTube that offer either like mastermind groups, like workshops like mine, or like one-on-one coaching. A lot of them do. Eric says, Angela's right. She has tons of great videos and her Platinum group is second to none. Stop. You guys are awesome. Dwight says, hey gang, great news. This session has gotten up to 35 thumbs up. Wow. Good job. Thank you, guys. Way to go, Angela and companies. Thank you so much, you guys. I'm just happy that you guys come and hang out for, an hour or so every week. It really means the world to me. I just want to give back and sort of pay it forward and sort of be the voice that I was looking for in the beginning. So I'm hoping that, again, at the very least, this is a little bit educational, inspirational, at the very least entertaining, perhaps, watching me kind of stumble my way and tangent my way through these weekly sessions. I hope they're a little bit helpful anyway. But I'm going to get going. Got work to do. I will see y'all next week. Same bat time, same bat channel, Tuesday at 12 p.m. EST. I will be here. If you have a topic that you would like to talk about as a group here in a weekly live chat, then put it in the comments. And then perhaps that's something we can talk about in the future. I appreciate y'all being here, and I will see you next week. Bye. Thank you for listening to She Lancer Mom Entrepreneur with VoiceOver Angela. That's me. For more information about me, visit my website, voiceoverangela.com, or hop on over to my YouTube channel, VoiceOver Angela. Again, thanks for listening. Have a great day.